Hello, sports fans. War Room Sports presents episode 228 of The War Room. This edition, we are joined by none other than legendary sports writer and NFL insider Peter King of Monday Morning Quarterback and Sports Illustrated. He'll join us and talk a little bit about the 2014-2015 NFL season, and then, of course, we'll move on to the rest of our witty banter that you enjoy so much. So kick back, relax, and make sure that you follow us on Twitter, at War Room Sports, Facebook, facebook.com/War Room Sports, www.warroomsports.com, warroomsportstv.com, WRSPN.com, our latest venture, War Room Sports Podcast Network. But now, without any further ado, episode 228 with Sports Illustrated's Monday Morning Quarterback, Peter King, starts now. Thank you.
Blog Talk Radio.
Welcome to the War Room. We got Dez, Kill, Jimmy, PJ, B. Austin, the Hot Rod Commander. How you want it in the 1 or 2 hour show to keep the brain running with the premise to talk sports on a national level. Bold with the topic, sort of like the rebels. When it's game time, they like the Fab Five during prime time. Sports conglomerates speak their minds a little bit. For sports medicine and sports veterans and greats. The 4th and 26th, so the war in Kuwait. It's the War Room with 5 nights at the round table. 5 Philly guys, diversified and educated.
Yo, somebody G-chat that. What up, sports fans? You are once again live in the War Room, brought to you, of course, by War Room Sports on that WRS Podcast Network. I'm Devin McMillan, and I'm here at the round table, as usual, with my brothers, Jimmy the Blueprint Williams and the boy B. Austin. We got a lot to get into in the next 2 hours, including a conversation with Sports Illustrated's Peter King and a whole lot more. So join us right now in the JW Philly Realty chat room. We're trying to open that up as we speak. That's at blogtalkradio.com/the War Room. Or join us on Facebook or Twitter at War Room Sports so you can be a part of the conversation as well. You can also call us directly when we open up the Digital Extreme Tech hotline. That number, as usual, is 323-410-0012. But before we get started, we'd like to give a shout out to all the other shows on the War Room Sports Podcast Network. You can listen to the network from our main site. That's warroomsports.com. Or you can get there directly at WRSPN.com. You'll find shows such as our show, The War Room, the Broad Street Line with Roy and Chris, After Further Review 2.0, a.k.a. the Sideline Pass with the Mayor, the Tissue and the Tape Hip Hop Show with Phil and Savada, and a whole lot more. You can check the listings as well at fatsradio.com. That's PHATZ radio.com. Go there for airtimes for all your favorite War Room Sports Podcast Network sports shows. You know, we have other shows besides sports shows, but all of our sports shows are syndicated on fatsradio.com. The War Room plays over there on Sundays and Tuesdays at 3 p.m. Check the listings for everybody else. Fellas, what's going on? Y'all got any shout outs y'all want to give before we get started?
Just to the
y'all don't like nobody.
boy,
like, nah.
Just to the boy D in Wyoming who collects change, and he drives a 2008 Lex, but somehow he collects change for a living.
Yo,
okay.
What's up?
Okay.
What's up with Bill Cosby, yo? Should we believe these allegations?
Shout out to Jello Pudding Pops, yo.
Free Bill
Should
Cosby.
we believe these allegations, man? Or because they all seem weird. I mean, they all could be believable just because we don't know what anybody's doing out there. But
yeah,
man.
I mean, I tend to believe it. But at the end of the day, after all this time passed, I guess in the court of public opinion, there is no such thing as statute of limitations. And
yeah, definitely
the other
isn't.
thing is, he's another one of them dudes, man, where he let us throw shots at people. So
right.
Nobody's supposed to get sympathy for him, all the trash he talked and slandered his own people. But that's either here nor there.
I like some of the shit throwing though.
Oh no, I'm not saying that some of them are unwarranted. I'm just saying he went super hard. So now, he had a.
I don't want it. I don't want it to be true. I don't want it to obviously go. He's Cliff Huxtable I mean, not even Heathcliff, just Bill Cosby in general, man. He was such a leader in not only the black community, but just American society. Like, everybody loved Jell-O pudding pops and
Yo,
the
but
Cosby.
he
There's like,
and the thing
hold on. There's like 16 separate allegations. Like, it's not one or two. It's not 3 or 5. It's not even 10. It's like 16 separate women in different places who don't know one another accusing him of the same thing. So how could there not be merit?
Yo, man, all I'm saying is, in terms of like Dev, the shots he thrown, he always meant well. Like, I always believed that, even if I disagree with what he said, he meant well. Like, and he, always tried to call us to the carpet and make us do better. But at the same time, like B. Austin said, there's a lot of allegations. It's not just one. Like, and these people don't know each other. But at the end of the day, man, it's been a long time since any of this stuff has happened, man. And, like I said, there's no statute of limitations in the court of public opinion. There's nothing they really can do to him from a legal, from a criminal standpoint. But he's
Just
paying
ruin
for
the
it
rest of
nonetheless.
his life and his legacy.
He's paying for it nonetheless, man. And, in the words of Brad Jordan, man, the Yams is a dude's greatest downfall, man.
And they already snatched the Cosby Show off of TV Land, all the reruns.
Yo,
so.
they snatched my man's show. The show ain't been live for 30 years, and they still snatched him down. Like,
yeah, he's still good because they got paying them syndication checks.
Yeah, they still got paying them checks. That's crazy, cuz.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's get into some sports because that's what we do. Let's talk about what happened while everybody was on the ground. All right, people, and while y'all are on the grind, is brought to you as usual by DirecTV. If you'd like a better TV experience than cable has to offer, including that NFL Sunday ticket, make sure you go to our website, warroomsports.com, click on the DirecTV logo, and order yourself a better TV experience at a discounted War Room Sports sign-up rate. Make sure you get that NFL Sunday ticket, too. They got the half-season price jumping off. But I think if you're a new customer, you get it free anyway. But if you call yourself a sports fan, then you got to have DirecTV. Emmanuel Sanders, wide receiver from Jimmy's Denver Broncos. I'm sure you guys saw the devastating hit he took during Sunday's game against the Raiders. I kind of saw his spirit fly out his body. Ironic that I say that, though, because later on that night, his Wikipedia page was changed to say that he died on the field that day. So so Emmanuel Sanders had to take to Twitter to say basically the rumors of his demise were greatly exaggerated. Yo, is that a problem? The fact that anybody can go, on Wikipedia and change stuff? Like, is that a problem with a page like Wikipedia?
No, I mean, it's not a problem because if you rely on that, then I mean that says something about you anyway. Because it's known that they have editors that can go do things like that. Now, with that being said, I still think it's one of the most. It's going to sound crazy me saying this after I just said what I said. Still one of the most reliable things on the internet, but you got to understand that it can be edited. But
because I was about to tell you that.
Corrected.
Wikipedia seems to be on point most of the time. I guess it depends on who they let get up in there, but. Austin.
It's one of those things where, it is maybe 90% reliable, but 10%, when we're talking about facts and truth, 10% is a huge number. So if only 9 out of the 10 things that it's saying is true, then you always have that risk and that fear, that 10%, and that's not enough because the average human being is stupid. So they're going to go and I won't even say stupid, they're lazy. So they're going to rely on Wikipedia, and they'll just go ahead and take that lie along with their 9 truths.
You know what I think
but
about?
My man, Emmanuel Sanders, is a funny dude.
Yeah, but he definitely did die. His spirit did leave for a little while. Like he came back to us, but he was gone for a while. Like his soul was gone. But what's crazy is I think about like if I was in school now, like the wanting to use Wikipedia versus knowing that some stuff is made up, like the temptation would be too crazy because there's so much information right there. Like, you know what I mean? So I'm glad these kids don't learn about the Dewey Decimal System and having to do real research, man. They don't learn about that life.
Yeah, you're
right. Know about that Dewey Decimal.
Dewey, shout out to my man Dewey who created that system.
His name is Weak. His name Dude.
I'm just saying. We had to do real research. That's all I'm saying, man.
Yeah, no doubt.
And all I'm saying is Dewey ain't getting no yam.
We didn't really have computers either, but that's another story. Computers came while we were in
no
college,
comment.
but I was already set in my ways, so I didn't really use computers in college.
Yo, Dev had a word processor though.
Yo, I went to school. I went to school with a word processor, no doubt. I barely used that.
Dev had a word processor, B.
Because I was paying.
They don't know about that life. They don't know nothing about that life, yo.
Too easy for students these days. All right, so y'all man, beast mode. You know, he beast mode on the field, but he had a feel good story. You know, we don't usually talk about these during the grind segment because we're usually giving out JoJo awards. But Marshawn Lynch actually returned a wallet to a fan. He was at a gas station and a fan by the name, ironically, Jason Lynch, dropped his wallet near one of the pumps. So Marshawn Lynch picked it up, looked at the address on the wallet, and drove to the man's house to return it. He and his teammate, receiver Ricardo Lockett, dropped it off, but the guy wasn't even home to meet his Seattle Seahawks heroes. I mean, the guy actually has a Lynch jersey that he wears on his Facebook page, on his profile photo. What do y'all think about Lynch being the good Samaritan and driving all the way to this dude's house in Marysville, Washington?
In a lot of ways, it's going to sound funny, and I'm saying it because it sounds funny. But yo, my man Marshawn Beast Mode he's all about that action, bro. And that just shows like he's willing to get in his wheel and drive to somebody's spot to do a good deed. And I'd like to think that he wasn't looking for the notoriety or the publicity that comes from that, because Beast Mode don't care about that.
Nah, I don't think it was. You know, if it wasn't for Dude putting it all over Twitter, then nobody probably would have known about it.
Yo, Beast Mode gives no F's about nobody when no one thinks about him, about anything in general. Your guy saw the picture I didn't show when the paparazzi wrote up on him. Like, my man really doesn't care about nothing, but he seems to be like a genuine good dude. Like, yo, he the realest dude in the league, man. Like, he just don't care. Like, but at the same time, yo, he seems like one of them dudes that they get the shirt off his back, which leads me to believe that he helps a lot of people. So I'm kind of worried for him after football. But with that being said, I mean, you know, it's always good to hear something specifically with NFL players, because we always talk about how out of all the major sports, the NFL gets, like, you know, the worst rap in terms of doing the bad deeds. And I'm pretty sure we'll talk about some more bad deeds being done by NFL players this show. But shout out to Beast Mode, man, because, you know, that kind of stuff never gets talked about.
Good dude.
And like I said, homie wasn't even home, so his neighbor got to meet the players instead of him. So should have went home.
That's the word.
Should have huddled. All right, so Jags cornerback Dwayne Gratz. Yo, this dude was arrested for trying to pay for some food with chewing gum. Yo, he was intoxicated, according to the Miami Beach Police Department report. He argued with an employee at a store after he tried to pay for several items with bubble gum. Excuse me, not chewing gum, bubble gum, because he didn't have any money. Then he refused to leave the store and started a disturbance that caused other customers to leave the store. That's when the employee called police. So, you know, they said his eyes were bloodshot and he smelled of alcohol. Yo, what's wrong with Dwayne? Man? He tried to barter.
What are we supposed to say to this? Like, I don't even know. Like, cause you should be ashamed of yourself. The way you carry yourself.
My thing is this, right?
Man, you can smoke the stickiest of the icky. I mean, I'm not suggesting it. But, Gretch, you got to leave them other drugs alone, man. You can't play at that level on them other type of drugs, man.
Yo, I just want to know where they get their alcohol from, because, yo, they must get some sort of special sauce in the league, because these dudes be so drunk that they be out doing stuff that's just like, yo, it's out of control. Like, it's one thing to be a sloppy drunk, you know what I mean? But these dudes be just bugging when they get drunk. What are they drinking?
Yeah, I don't know, man. Dude ended up spending the night in jail, and he was released on $1,000 bond on Monday morning. So, and this is like after the game. Like this is Sunday after the game. Like, I mean, I know you play for the Jags, and I know it's a hard knock life, but
I'm saying it on
I
the
can't
corners
go.
popping. Yeah, man,
Yeah.
that's out of control, man. What was he drinking, man?
Yeah, he was probably some Thunderbirds, something cheap that with a lot of alcohol in it. All right, so your boy Kevin Durant, a former Sonic, joined Sonic. Kevin Durant adds another endorsement deal, which is the Sonic fast food restaurants. I didn't know this. Kevin Durant has the most endorsement deals of any other NBA player. I would just automatically assume that that's LeBron James. But it's Kevin Durant. So he signed on with Sonic to be his first ever athlete ambassador. And they claim when he signs on to stuff, it's not just for the dough. Like, you know, he has to be a fan of the actual product or whatever. You guys like Sonic? I mean, I know we don't really have them in our area. We travel
Yo,
enough.
they got him in Philly, and it's cool.
Yeah, they are popping up now. Yeah.
They a little overrated. I don't even know. I want to call them overrated because they really not. Nobody even rates them. I mean, to me, you know, as a connoisseur of foods that you probably shouldn't eat, problem with Sonic is they got way too many things on their menu, yo, and that goes for restaurants too. Restaurants, fast food place, yo, y'all got to start specializing. Stop putting too many things on your menu, b.
Yeah.
And also, I guess this is his first deal. His first deal on the Rock Nation, or did they get him? No, they got him a sneaker deal too, right?
Yeah, they re-up with Nike for him.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, really, Under Armour negotiated that, but you know.
Yeah.
You know, I like Sonic. I like Sonic, but for a particular reason, there is one Sonic in the DMV area where they took it back old school, where the waitresses come out and they have roller skates on.
Yeah.
The manager who handles the HR at that particular location understood what it was that I wanted to see coming to my car on roller skates. So, you know, I respected them for their ability to determine what it was that the people wanted, or more importantly, what it was I wanted to see on roller skates. So something came to my car looking like New from ATL. And I appreciated that. I appreciated that.
Yo, I'm like Jimmy.
Shout
like,
out to
I used to always
Sonic.
My bad. I used to always like be pressed to go to Sonic. You know, before they started popping up here. Like if I go down south or to the West Coast, like I would always want to go. But then I realized, like Jimmy said, first of all, I got too much on the menu, and the food to me is overrated. Like I guess people over there rate it because people talk about Sonic. When I'm in a town that specializes in Sonic. You know what the best thing to me about Sonic is like the drink selection. They got smoothies.
Oh yeah. They give you all kinds of like, you know what I'm saying? You can
now that's the best part. But the grub,
shakes and the drink, but the food is terrible.
Yeah, you can the grub.
We all know pound for pound, ain't nobody messing with Chick-fil-A anyway right now. And Chick-fil-A still got the crown, B.
Yeah. And their menu isn't all super diesel. Durant's other endorsements include Skull Candy, the headphones, NBA 2K video game, BBVA Compass Bank, Panini, the Oklahoma Department of Health, that must be his local jail, and Neff, which is an underwear collection that will debut next year. I don't think that's the same one that the dude from the Cowboys got with. But they're gonna have your man. They're gonna have your man Kevin Durant modeling underwear.
Yo, shout out. I don't know.
Don't really.
I don't think that was a good look.
Yo, my man, it sounded like my man, like, you know, I heard what you said about him, like, not taking every deal, but my man, like, you know, he put himself out there for a lot of deals. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah, he got a lot of B deals. Like, like don't nobody use Skull Candy like that.
Yeah, he cut him a check. He gonna wear him.
Yeah, he almost took that Under Armour deal. Should have took that Under Armour deal. All right, but that's what happened this week, everybody. While y'all were on that good grind, trying to get that Thanksgiving money straight, you can buy that turkey.
You already know, man. It's time to give some birthday shout-outs. You know what I'm saying? And for those who don't know, the birthdays are brought to you by Digital Extreme Technologies. Do you or your business need a custom website? Well, for dynamic, professional, and most of all, affordable custom website solutions, you need Digital Extreme Technologies. No need to break the bank for an effective online presence. Top quality, results-driven websites at incredibly affordable prices. Financing options are available. Visit digitalextremetech.com or call 267-205-4203. And for a discount, remember, War Room Sports sent you. Look at these birthday shout-outs.
My birthday! Yay!
First shout-out is to my man Carlos Boozer. Carlos Boozer turns 33.
Shout out to shooting fadeaways on two guards.
Yo, my man, shout out to painting your entire hairline on.
Shout out
Dominic
to being hated in Chicago.
Dominic Dawes turns 38. You guys remember
Dom?
Dominic Dawes?
Oh,
Dom.
Yeah. That's one of y'all me. Do y'all me? Anyway, J.D. Drew, who's supposed to be one of the greatest ever. I remember when he came around, but J.D. Drew turns 39.
J.D. Drew was like
Galloway.
Baseball.
Joey Galloway turns 43. Chris Childs,
Still
who will always be remembered.
Still can't catch.
Chris Childs, who will always be remembered for one thing that has nothing to do with basketball, is to punch you on Kobe. He turns 47.
Jim, I think the crazy part about that is he's remembered for that thing, and that thing is so overrated. Like, even the remembrance is wrong because, dude, we all know he had a drinking problem, so I'm not trying to take a shot at him, but he might have been intoxicated that day because he swung Kobe and he hit him with a two-piece in his neck and then retreated. But everybody talks like Chris Childs is the biggest gangster in the world, and he couldn't even connect on the punch.
Yo, that was a terrible punch. That was a terrible punch. It is overrated. Yo, it's still funny because I think he may have, when you rewatch it, I think he may have been inebriated because it was like he just swung out of nowhere, and it was a terrible punch though. Yeah. Shout out to Chris Childs, man.
Shout out to happy birthday though.
Yeah, Mark Gastineau turns 58. You guys remember Mark Gastineau?
Yeah, he once held the single season sack record.
Also, Dwight Stevenson at Casey Mack 38 on Twitter lets us know Dwight Stevenson's also having a birthday. Those are the birthdays for the week. We'd like to give a huge salute from War Room Sports to all these gentlemen. Happy birthday.
All right. Happy birthday, Akis. All right. So before we we're waiting on Fred Perdue of College Football Extra to get on the line with us so we could talk a little college football. But you guys remember, near the bottom of the hour, we will have Sports Illustrated's Peter King on to talk some NFL topics with us. So make sure you keep it locked so you can hear our conversation with Peter King. But right now, you guys can check our website at warroomsports.com. While you're there, be sure to sign up for the War Report. That's the weekly newsletter. Click on the Contact Us tab to send a message to us about our company, the show, or to inquire about sponsorship and advertising opportunities or any other business you may have at War Room Sports. While you're browsing the site, take your time. Click on the memorabilia tab, buy some War Room Sports merchandise. Click the blog tab to read our latest sports articles in the All's Fair and Sports and More blog. Then you can click the respective icons and tabs to like our Facebook page, to follow us on Twitter, to subscribe to our iTunes podcast, to watch our videos at warroomsportstv.com, to listen to our network at wrspn.com, and to download our free War Room Sports mobile app on iOS and Android to get everything I just mentioned right there on the go. Join the JW Philly Realty chat room right now during the show at blogtalkradio.com/the War Room. To enter the chat room, just sign up for a free profile on Blog Talk Radio if you don't already have one. But if you don't want one, you can sign in through your Facebook or Twitter accounts. And while you're at it, click follow. That'll get you updates and reminders about the show every week. We'll be taking questions and reading posts from Facebook, Twitter, and the chat room during the show. But if you want to call in and speak with us directly, you can dial the Digital Extreme Technologies hotline at 323-410-0012. Press 1 when prompted. If you're already listening from your phone, just press 1 if you want to rap. All right, so let's get into some hot topics. Jimmy, let everybody know who hot topics are brought to the good people by.
Absolutely. If your schedule is too hectic to read as much as you want, try audiobooks and kick back and let someone else do the reading for you. All you have to do is visit Audible and sign up for your free trial at audibletrial.com/warroomsports. That'll get you a free book to listen to. There's a lot of great books up there. One thing I want to point out is people who love business books, there's tons and tons of business books that you can, sharpen your sword as you drive in the car or you in the gym, doing whatever you're doing. So go to audibletrial.com/warroomsports and get you a freebie. Who doesn't love a freebie?
No doubt. All right, so let's get into some of these hot topics, man. Let's go to Major League Baseball, where the greatest contract in North American sports was just signed by Giancarlo Stanton of the Miami Marlins. His contract is 13 years, $325 million. I mean, we've said it enough on this show when we look at these contracts, but I am signing my son up for T-ball the first chance I get, and we are going to nurture this baseball thing because it's getting ridiculous at this point. What do you guys think of this contract? 13 years, $325 million.
I think that at first glance, we're quick to knock the Marlins like, dang, you signed them for $325. Your franchise is only worth $290 million. How are you gonna give him $325 million? But I actually, when you look at the structure of the contract, which I think that you'll get into in a second, I think it was a gamble. It was a risky gamble, but not stupid. Not stupid at all. They gave themselves some leeway to build a team around him because it is backloaded. So the first half of that contract, I'd say the first 6 years, he's not making much more than any other pretty good to good baseball player would be making. He's in the $6, $7, $8 million range, which allows them to build a team around them. And if they're winning and they're in contention for a World Series, then the dollars and the revenue come in, their cash flow increases, the franchise value increases. So their bet is that Giancarlo can be a cornerstone or a foundation for their franchise rebuilding. So, on one hand, it's a hefty bet. It's a hefty risk, but not necessarily a stupid one.
My thing is this. I didn't think anything about that. I just know that I think he defected, didn't he, from his country, if I'm not mistaken. I just know that my man is a target now, so he just better be careful because they don't play no games. He will end up in someone's trunk.
Oh, yeah. Where he comes from, they put him in the trunk, and they send your finger.
They about that city of God life. They ain't trying to hear nothing about nothing being backloaded. They need the briefcase, B. So I just want my man to be careful out there, and also, man, you gotta be careful out here with all these women because he's also a target with them too. You know what I'm saying? Because they will come after his bread. Like, that's the thing about an athlete. Like, when you get bread, it's put on the front page of the paper, so you automatically a target to everybody, man.
So, is he defective with his parents?
If I was an athlete, I wouldn't want my contract terms disclosed. I definitely would put that in the contract. You can't tell nobody.
I thought he was born in L.A. for some reason.
Was he?
Oh.
I read somewhere he just. I don't know, man. I probably read on Wikipedia, but you can't trust that though. So
when you listen to him talk, he sounds as Americanized as he could possibly sound. And it seems like they're just now starting to call him Giancarlo. Like, he's known throughout the first part of his career as Mike Stanton. Like, he trying to go back to his roots now.
Yo, he gonna give us some Sammy Sosa stuff when he go in front of the Senate and forget how to speak English.
I know. Then he gonna be from.
I don't know how to speak the language no more, man.
He gonna get that reverse vitiligo.
Yeah, yo.
Or get real vitiligo.
Yeah, all I'm saying. All I'm saying is, man, stay away from them women, man.
I like women. Women. I said women.
I don't like men anymore.
All right, so like B. Austin said, you made a lot of good points about the contract. I'll break it down to get the details so they can understand exactly what it is that you're talking about. Because you're right about the leeway they gave themselves. They gave him an out if he needed one. I don't see why you would ever need an out because, come on, let's keep it real. Players can say what they want, but 325 M's is way more important than winning a championship. But I'll read the details anyway.
Benjamin, baby.
All about them. Listen, 13 years, $325 million contract. And like, you would people would just break that down, average that out, and just assume that that's what he's getting yearly. But like B. Austin said, it is backloaded. It's heavily backloaded. So it's only going to pay him $30 million over the first 3 seasons. And even that's not $10 million a season. His salaries over the first 3 seasons will be $6.5 million in 2015, $9 million in 2016, and $14.5 million in 2017. He'll earn another $77 million over the next 3 seasons, 2018, 19, and 2020, and could opt out of the contract after 2020. The Marlins would pay him. So up until that point, the Marlins would have paid him $107 million over the first 6 years of this deal before he's eligible to opt out, which averages out to about $17.8 million per season. But we broke down to you what it really is going to be per season. So if he indeed opts out of the deal after the first 6 seasons, he'll be 31 years old. Now, if he opts out, he'll be leaving 2/3 of his contract on the table, $218 million over the final 7 seasons of the deal. Now, when I first heard this, fellas, I was like, yo, why the hell would somebody opt out of a $325 million deal when they got 218 left? But if you guys think about it, no. Pujols got his $300 million deal after 30. Cabrera got his $300 million deal after 30. So feasibly, if he's still playing on this level, somebody else could offer him another 300 because that might be commonplace by then. Might get more than that. So that'll be added on to the 107 that he already got. So there is a chance that he'll opt out of this deal. But let me finish. If he opts out, he'll be leaving $218 million on the table. If he stays with Miami, the $218 million will be collected over those final 7 seasons, and that averages out to $31.14 million a year. He also has a complete no trade clause throughout the lifetime of the contract, which is also a first in Miami. The Marlins have never given out a complete no trade clause. So in essence, the deal is set up so that the Marlins will have flexibility to put talent around them in the first 6 years of the contract. If they don't put enough talent around them, to his liking, he says, he has the option to walk away from the deal after year 6. But if he walks away, he'll be walking away from $218 million. But you guys have to remember the little caveat that I just threw in there. If he's still playing at this of the league type level, he might get offered another $300 million deals and he'll walk away in a New York minute. So this dude is sitting pretty right now. All he has to do is perform. He can't pull an A-Rod.
I mean, A-Rod won in life.
Yeah.
Yo, for $325 million, you can sign my entire family to whatever you want us to do with baseball bats and baseball. Oh,
Yeah.
I'm signing up for it at 320.
Then you might have to revise that.
$325 million, bro.
Yeah, no doubt. So, and it's guaranteed. If this was a football contract and it was backloaded like that, he probably wouldn't even see the 107 from the first 6 years. He'll see whatever that signing bonus is, and they'll get rid of you whenever the cap hit isn't too great. But he can turn into a bum overnight, and he still has to
giving out cricket contract.
Mm-hmm. and that's another great thing about it. The fact that it's guaranteed. We're talking about him opting out in 6 years. He could turn into a pumpkin, and they still have to give him this money. He can opt in all he wants and be a bum sitting on the edge of the bench, making the most money in the league.
350 pounds in like 4 years, like just sitting there, like what y'all gonna do?
Want to be ballers, shot callers. All right, so let's do our stat of the week. I'm not sure. We don't have Fred Perdue on the line, so I'm not sure if we're going to get to our college football segment or not. But right now, let's talk about our stat of the week because it involves our hometown Philadelphia 76ers. Our stat of the week: the 76ers have signed 9 undrafted free agents so far this season. The record for a whole season is 10. I believe that was by a Golden State team and a Houston Rockets team. They both had 10, but that was over a full season. We're 3 weeks into the season, and the Sixers have already signed 9 undrafted free agents. I mean, the tank is real. The tank is real, and the guy who they just signed who spurred this stat was Robert Covington. He's a forward. He was actually the number 1 pick of the 2014 D-League draft. And I think he's like the Sixers' 5th D-League call-up so far this season. So,
this is a tank job of epic proportions. They're going to change rules based upon this. This will go down in history. This will be a 30 for 30 in about a good 15 years. I've never seen anything like this, yo. And it's crazy because, me and Dev were going to get season tickets this year, trying to, get in the bandwagon early before everybody came back. But it's like, there's no way we didn't go to these games. This team is terrible.
I went to a Sixers versus the Houston Rockets home game with brother Devin Mack, and what I saw there, I couldn't understand what I was like. I couldn't understand it because it was a lot more. It was a lot more than just the team being garbage. Like, the team is garbage, so that's obvious. Nerlens Noel has no offensive ability whatsoever. That may change. I mean, his jump shot is broken. He turns the ball over every 3 times he touches it. That all right, and then there's all of that. But even the guys on the squad that are good, because we all know James Harden has defensive deficiencies. So there's a little no-name guy. He gets in the game, and he goes smack at James Harden, and he heats up. As soon as he got hot, they sat him on the bench like, we don't want any chance of us winning this game. They let my man Luke Richard Boomshay, and I say that because I don't know how to pronounce his last name, but y'all know what I'm talking about. He has the green light to do anything he wants. Yo, Jimmy, he's in an NBA game practicing. Like, he's not really playing. He's just out there working on his game for his next stop. So he gets to basically practice his game in a game environment. He was shooting shots I've never seen him shoot. It's nuts.
I didn't know he could shoot. He hit a couple threes.
He didn't know he could shoot either. He was never allowed.
Somebody's going to get suspended for this, yo. Something has to be done, yo, because it's like so obvious. And
they tried to change the rules to the lottery, Jim, because of the Sixers.
Yo, but it's like they taking it way too far. I don't even know at this point. I think they just trolling. Like, I don't even think they want to rebuild. Like, they're gonna keep doing it. Like, yo, let's just win no games.
Yeah, but I talk to Sixers fans all the time, and people keep saying, the city and the fans don't deserve this. But y'all know me. I'm on board. I see the vision. I see what they're trying to do. A lot of teams, say they're going to rebuild, but everybody just tries to throw a Band-Aid on a bad situation, get some short-term relief, and then you're right back, the next year or a year or two. And that's what the Sixers were doing. You know what I'm saying? They make a playoff run because the East is weak. They'll get an 8th seed, got lucky that year because Derrick Rose was hurt, advanced a round or two. And it was fool's gold. This was the same team that they were about to blow up, but they got a lucky run. So they thought, okay, we can just add a free agent. We'll be fine. It's fool's gold. I give them 100% credit for having the guts because, your fan base is going to be upset. Having the guts to do a total destroy and rebuild because think about it. The Sixers are not a sexy destination for superstar free agents. So at this point, they're going to have to do what they have to do to try to make their superstars homegrown. They got to try to get lucky in these drafts since they're getting these early picks, get some homegrown talent. They got a ton of money to where they're probably going to be able to, re-sign all of these guys when it's time, to re-up. And then when you go to the free agent wire, you're not going to need to go there looking for LeBron James, Carmelo Anthony, Chris Bosh. You're going to go there looking for supplementary veterans to go with your rising stars. So I totally get the vision. I understand that it takes a lot of patience that Philly fans and a lot of fans anywhere else, I'm not going to just throw them under the bus, that fans just don't have. But I think when this team is young and competing on a high level for the next decade, I think the fans are going to understand and be cool with what happened, what they had to sacrifice.
Yo, I hear that very well articulated strategy, and your interpretation of that strategy. But for me, as a human being and as a man, I don't understand any sporting game that anyone participates in without the goal of winning. It doesn't compute. It's like,
but B. Austin, the players aren't. The coaches, the players aren't tanking. They're playing hard. They just put some players out there to go. The players aren't tanking, but the players aren't tanking. They're playing hard, so nobody's gone out there with the goal to lose a game. They're trying. They just suck.
These players know they can't win, man. Some of them dudes know they don't belong.
We're all crying for the fan. I mean, yeah, we're crying for the fans, but the organization is taking the biggest hit. You were at the game with me. It was like 12 people in an arena that holds 20,000. So the fans have a choice. The fans have the choice to not support, to not buy tickets, to not buy merchandise, but they don't have the choice. They got to roll this team out there every night with nobody in the stands, not making any revenue, taking a hit. So I ain't crying for the fans, man.
Oh, no, I'm not crying for the fans either, but, yo, this is hilarious. Shout out to Shizzy the King on Twitter, who says he's listening now. He calls it Tankageddon. Never seen nothing like it either. So Tankageddon is definitely going down. Yo, it gets to the point now where it's just comical. Like, if you make a shot, you might get released. Like, they don't even want you performing well. They trying to, like, put out the worst possible team, period. I think the coaches and GMs sit back like, yo, what's the worst team we could throw out there tonight? Like, what's the absolute worst? Yo, it's tough to watch even on TV, man.
Y'all got to know that the coach, you know, they've given him some assurances. Like, all right, your record's going to be terrible, but we're not going to fire you because we're doing this to you. So, he has to have assurance. Because I actually think he's a pretty good coach. So.
I mean, I can't tell. Like, I just don't know. Like, he may be.
I don't know what you said.
I think he's a pretty good coach. I've seen him work. I mean, he has nothing to work with. And at times, they're competitive. They're competitive enough, you know, to know that, okay, somebody's pulling these strings. I mean, you got people out here saying,
my man Hollis,
these guys.
My man Hollis Thompson was busting James Harden ass. And they was like, nope, get him out of there. Get him out. City.
It's difficult to watch on TV, man. Like, I know the ratings have to be atrocious. Have to be. Like, the ratings have to be atrocious at this point. Yo, I feel sorry for Malik. I feel sorry for everybody involved. Like, that have to work there. Like, yo, it's
Malik and Zumoff, they gotta go call that every night. They gotta watch them games.
Yo, and the thing is, though, the tickets on sale right now for like 22 cents, yo.
And that's the thing. We dodged that bullet of getting those season tickets because of that.
We ain't have to pay 22 cents.
So we're going to have Peter King from Sports Illustrated live in the War Room in about 3 minutes. So let's see. I think we got a call. You guys want to take that call before we get our guest on the line?
Yeah, let's see who this is. Let's just go right to the number. 410. You're in the War Room. Who we speaking to?
You're speaking to your boy John.
John, what's up?
John, what's up?
What's up? Tell us what's on your mind real quick, because we got the homie Peter King.
Okay, I'll be real quick. Number one.
And he's going to address your team, so we need you to keep listening afterwards. Go ahead.
I'll say this much. Don McNabb hit it on the button. That's all I'm going to say. He hit it on the button. That was ignorant, and I don't care if you like the Redskins, you don't like them, whatever. That was the most ignorant thing you can ever do to anyone. Not just a quarterback, anyone. You don't quote publicly and say those remarks of what you're feeling about your quarterback and where you work on and other stuff. You don't say that publicly in that form. That was just dumb. Maybe that was the first year gas, or maybe it goes back to that old saying, which I'm starting to really believe that certain folks just don't want a quarterback of like RG3 in the league, period. So,
say what you really mean.
What else would you say?
Don't mince words.
That was just
say what you really mean.
Tell them what you mean.
No, I'm not going to say
what you
I don't want to start a phone. But
all right,
what you said.
Hey,
And
John,
the
I
other
They don't want
thing
a quarterback.
too,
They don't want any quarterback that has melanin in his system. Is that what you said?
they don't want what's that? They have a quarterback with what?
Melanin.
They don't. They just. It's to me. It's just more and more common knowledge, and not just with Gruden or Shanahan for that matter, but even being a Redskins fan and being in some of these social network groups, people who can say what they really post but hide because it's not like you see them face to face. They make it very obvious that they'd rather deal with a Cousins or a McCoy, two guys who couldn't cut anywhere else, right, than to deal with this kid and watch him develop. So at that point, I'm just like, it is what it is. Can't argue no more.
John,
The other thing too.
I agree with you. I agree with you about how he, openly like that in public. The only thing that I can say that maybe he was trying, because we know Robert likes the media, he likes to get behind the microphone. Maybe he felt like he was talking to him in his own environment, but I just think that's a conversation that you have privately.
Well, I think it's just 3 years of frustration coming back from an injury and trying to get it together. You have an offensive line that is just non-existent to so many degrees. You got offensive schemes that are they're not working for him right now. It's going to take time to develop. It's just so much going on. As I said earlier this season, I have to backtrack because I said, I see 8-8. I'm just hoping they can win 5 games. Hell, I'm hoping they can win 4 games at this point. Maybe one against the Cowboys.
What's your next
could it be that they're just garbage? RG3 is just garbage?
It's possible, but I don't think so. I'm going to tell you why. I still look back to that first year. He was the most accurate rookie quarterback in NFL history. You don't get that.
Though. He was throwing 2-yard passes.
Dude, he was throwing down the field, too. And on top of that, and on top of that, you had a running game that was just killing them. And it was Alfred Morrison. The offensive line was still, I'm not going to curse the line, but it was still crappy 2 years ago. So, just now he doesn't have the mobility.
Once they lose respect for your passer, that's when the running game starts to struggle a little bit. They don't fear RG3, so the running game is not going to be beastly like it was 2 years ago. 2 years ago, they feared what they didn't understand. They feared him because they didn't understand. They didn't know what to expect.
They didn't know that he was playing 1940.
He had to go through a year. He had to go through a year of development again. He had to go through a year of development. The Redskins really didn't address the line. They still haven't addressed the line. And as I said, until they address the line, then you don't have nothing. And not even just the line, the defense. Defense is just as important as offense. Actually, more important. Because if you got a defense that's getting 3 and outs instead of giving up big plays every other down or so, then that puts you in a position where you can have a shorter field to win the game. And the defense is atrocious. That's why Arizona looks good. They don't have a
get out of here. You had another point you wanted to make real quick? Because we got to get out of here.
Oh, okay. The other thing, too, is with the Lakers, my beloved Lakers, I wonder if I can now sit next to Jack for $20.
Never. Never.
They are that horrible. I know they won the other night, but they are that horrible.
No matter how old Kobe gets, no matter how his shooting percentage drops, he's still an asset that people want to come out and see. So those tickets are never going to go down.
I know. I was hoping y'all say that's probably getting 100. But hey, thanks, guys.
Yeah, keep listening though, because we're going to ask him about the Redskins situation. So keep listening.
Oh, that'd be perfect. I'm on.
All right.
All right, y'all take care.
You too.
Take it easy.
All right, so we got our guest on the line. So we'll get him on now so we can talk some of these situations going on in the NFL. So we'll get right to that. All right, everybody out there on the line with us, we have Peter King from Monday Morning Quarterback on SI.com. Peter, how are you? You're in the war room.
Hey, happy to be here, guys. How are you?
Pretty good.
Wonderful.
Glad to have you, first of all. Look, we'll jump right into it because we have a few NFL topics that we want to talk about. We have a huge following down in the Washington, D.C. area. So let's talk a little bit about the relationship between RG3 and his coach, Jay Gruden. Now, I'm sure, everybody's aware of the comments that Jay Gruden made kind of critiquing his quarterback after last Sunday's game. When you hear comments like that, because personally, I don't know if I've heard, too many coaches be that critical in public of their quarterback. Does that tell you anything about the future of RG3? Do you think he'll be the long-term answer in Washington?
Well, I think that of all the teams that are out of the playoff chase right now in the NFL, there's a bunch of them who have questions. The Giants about whether Tom Coughlin will come back and Jerry Reese as general manager. So there's a lot of teams that have questions going down the stretch. But to me, I think Washington's issue is very big because they don't know right now. I don't think they can know right now whether they're going to exercise Robert Griffin III's option for 2016, which they must do this off season. So the next 6 games, I think, are of vital importance. How he plays, how he develops in Jay Gruden's offense. The administration in Washington has already given Robert Griffin III the benefit of the doubt over one coaching staff, right, Mike Shanahan's. And so I doubt that they're going to be so quick, even despite this bad season. They aren't going to be so quick to get rid of Jay Gruden, because at some point you've got to look at the quarterback and you've got to say, quarterback has got to start playing well. And right. So I think that is why these last 6 games of the season are very important. The team must decide by May 3rd if they're going to exercise Griffin's option of $18 million in 2016. And so right now, you've got to think that there'd be some questions and some issues about whether they want to exercise that option. I would think that they're going to exercise the option, but they can't feel real good about it now, just the way that Griffin has been playing, especially since coming back the last 2 weeks.
I kind of think with RG3 that there's not much gray area. I think they either need him to play awful or they need him to play really good, because that makes their decision easier. I think if he plays somewhere in the middle, then I think they'll be just as confused as ever about what they want to do in that situation.
I agree. I think it's a really tough decision. Now, this isn't to say that if they don't exercise the option that he's finished there. That isn't so. I mean, they could always re-enter talks with him, after next season. But what are you saying to your starting quarterback if you don't put enough faith in him, to say you're our guy after this season? I think it would be a pretty startling development if they did not exercise the option. So anyway, we'll see.
Yeah, Peter, this is B. Austin, man. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. Really glad to have you here. Keeping with the topic of quarterbacks, Brian Hoyer versus Johnny Football. Hoyer versus Manziel, who do you get rid of in Cleveland, especially with the success Cleveland is experiencing under Hoyer? What are your thoughts on that situation?
Well, that's one of the reasons why, another one of the reasons why it's good that you can play the full 16 games, because I don't know, if I were Ray Farmer, the Browns general manager, I would not have enough information right now to make my decision about who my quarterback should be in 2015. Hoyer obviously is going to be a free agent at the end of this season. It's no coincidence that he has Joe Flacco's agent, Joe Linta, and Joe Linta was very much in favor of Joe Flacco going for the gusto a couple of years ago and playing it out to the end of the year. And it turned out to be smart because Flacco became, at least temporarily, the highest paid quarterback in football. Now, Hoyer is not going to end up anywhere near that no matter what happens the last 6 games of the year. But I think the only way you truly can know whether Hoyer is going to be your guy and whether you're going to commit decent starter money to him is by watching him down the stretch. He's had a good year so far, not a great year, and I think it'd be difficult if you had to commit right now to say how much money you'd pay him. And I think the other issue is when you pick Johnny Manziel, you really didn't know with absolute certainty whether he was going to be a great player for your team. You had hopes, and you liked what you saw at Texas A&M, but you weren't sure. So can you imagine the Browns, who've been looking for a quarterback for the last 15 years, let Brian Hoyer go, and then Johnny Manziel basically comes in and doesn't play well, and they're watching Brian Hoyer play great somewhere else or play very well somewhere else, and then the Browns have to go out again in 2016 or 17 and draft another quarterback high. It would be the continuation of the tortured existence that the Browns have had since they returned to the NFL in 1999.
Yeah, that would be terrible.
That's a great point. But I guess my question would be, from a financial standpoint, the general manager's fiscal responsibility to the team. What does it cost to keep Manziel around, but then also have such an expensive insurance policy in Hoyer? You know, I don't know, but the salary cap ramifications have to be pretty interesting there.
Well, I think if you're going to sign Brian Hoyer back to the team, I think Brian Hoyer somewhere next year, I mean, unless he plays very poorly down the stretch, somewhere next year is probably going to be a $10 million, $12 million a year quarterback. So that's where I think the discussion with him is going to have to start. And again, unless he plays poorly down the stretch. But if you look at him, you look at Mark Sanchez, you look at Jake Locker, those are probably going to be the 3 guys entering this off season who you would say, I mean, those guys would have some interest out on the market. And none of them as a franchise quarterback, but they'd certainly have some interest because I think they've all had some success as starters, some more than others. And there will be 4 or 5 teams either in the draft or in free agency looking for a quarterback to come in and compete to start right away next year.
Right. Well, that is a perfect segue back to the NFC East. Full disclosure here, you are on the line with 2 Philadelphia Eagles fans. So Foles versus the rest of the world. As I'm sure you're aware, there are many in Philadelphia who are unduly calling for the Foles era to end prematurely. But what are the Eagles going to do? Are they going to keep Foles? Are you going with Mark Dirty Sanchez? Are you going back to the draft and maybe look at somebody like Mariota? You know, what do you feel the
Well, there's no way they're going to have a chance to get Mariota unless they engineer some incredible trade, which hard for me to imagine, especially with some quarterback needy teams like the Jets at the top. Hard for me to imagine somebody trading down because, you know, look at where the Eagles are going to finish. I mean, the Eagles are going to have, I don't know, whatever, the 23rd draft pick or something like that. Who knows what it'll be. But in order to move up and to get Mariota, I think it would take a total ransom. It would take an RG3 type deal of a couple of years ago. So I doubt that'll happen. But having said that, I wouldn't, if I were an Eagles fan, I would not be all that concerned with the quarterback position. And you're going to say, what do you mean? Chip Kelly's got to have a really good quarterback. Well, the way I look at it is Chip Kelly can build a quarterback and will build a quarterback. He will find a quarterback out there who will play well enough in his system to win games. I just have a lot of faith in the way he teaches the position, he teaches the offense, and he coaches quarterbacks. So I think what happens in 2015 is that they bring Foles back, and let's see how Sanchez plays down the stretch. They may go and try to sign Sanchez if he plays well and create competition coming into camp. I know this. Mark Sanchez loves being in Philadelphia, and he loves playing for Chip Kelly. So I could definitely see him not wanting to take a leap to some new team in free agency, but rather just stay in Philadelphia with a coach and in a system that he really, really likes. That's just my gut feeling there. Now, one other thing about Foles, obviously, this has not been a great year. This was not a great year for Foles, anything like last year. But last year, you have to admit that it was almost like a fairy tale with the guy. And there's no way he's going to be that good, over the long term. So to me, I think that it's more realistic to say Foles versus somebody in a quarterback competition next spring and summer.
Yeah, I think that's what
it's
fans
funny,
have.
Peter, because I'm actually a Foles believer. I actually see enough in him to say I'd like to see a larger game sampling, maybe 30, 32 games of him starting from now before I make a full decision on him, because I see a lot to like in Nick Foles. And I think as he learns the game and he grows as a quarterback, I think this is just a sophomore slump for him. So I'd like to see him under center for another year or two and see what that does to the learning curve.
I think it's smart to do because, again, Nick Foles is a third-round pick. He was obviously no lock. I said this to somebody this week about Zach Mettenberger. You can't make a decision on Zach Mettenberger based on what you see in half a season for a bad team with a shaky offensive line. That's ridiculous.
Right.
What Zach Mettenberger can do for the Tennessee Titans, in my opinion, is give them enough cause to say, we want to bring Zach Mettenberger back in 2015 to compete for our starting quarterback job. And it's really the same thing with Nick Foles. If I'm Foles, in my opinion anyway, there's no way that I believe done enough to walk into 2015 with a guaranteed starting job. He's done enough to walk into 2015 to compete on equal footing with somebody for a starting job. And that's what I bet Chip Kelly will do.
Sure. For the satiation of Devin and I, we're two huge Peyton Manning and Tom Brady fans, and we know that you have a unique relationship with both. We had the pleasure of being there in Philadelphia at the Temple Sports Journalism seminar where you were the keynote speaker. The advice that you gave us was making sure that as a journalist, you're creating relationships with guys such as a Manning and a Brady, if you have that type of access, or whoever it is that you have that access to. I guess knowing Manning and Brady pretty well, can you kind of give us a comparison and contrast between the two personality? What makes them great? What makes them similar? What makes them different? Who is better? What are your
I think what makes them similar is that in their own ways, which is different, in their own ways, they're just extremely intense competitors. Darrelle Revis said last week about Tom Brady that I've seen a lot of competitors in my time, but none match him. And I think you'd probably find people who would say the same thing about Peyton Manning. So I think at the end of the day, you need to really despise losing to be a great quarterback. You need to have that inside you, and I think both those guys have it. I think their approach really is different. I think Manning is a little bit of a micromanager, where he really wants to have a lot of say about what they do with the team. I wouldn't be a bit surprised if Manning was in John Elway's ear and saying, "Hey, let's go try to get Richie Incognito." It wouldn't surprise me at all, and I don't know that it happened, but that's the kind of thing that I believe that Peyton Manning is very big on. It's not in a, let me tell you how to do your job, but it's, hey, John, you really should look into Richie Incognito or whoever. You know, if he sees somebody on the street, he'll ask him, have you looked into this guy? Do you know much about this guy? Whereas Tom Brady is one of these guys who, you know, a lot of people criticized him because he didn't stick up for Wes Welker and tell the organization, hey, you got to sign Welker a couple of years ago. He just doesn't do that. He views his job the way Belichick always uses his mantra around that team. Hey, just do your job and we'll be fine. And that's really, I think, what Brady believes is the way he should operate. So they're different in that regard, but I think they're similar once they get on the field and how they operate their offense, how they operate their team. Probably the one big playing difference, I think, is that I think Manning can pretty much call whatever he wants on the field when he gets out there. Brady, once Josh McDaniels gives him a play in his helmet, he's got to have a pretty good reason to change it. He can't go changing it flippantly. So I think those are probably some of the changes, some of the differences and similarities.
Cool. All right, now Peter, let's talk a little bit about everything that's happened off the field this season in the NFL. There's a lot of sensational off the field stories. You know, Ray Rice, Adrian Peterson. Now, on the heels of this latest punishment, if you will, for Adrian Peterson, he's going to sit out the rest of the season, and he still has to apply for reinstatement, I believe, in 2015. What are your thoughts on how the NFL has handled the rash of off-field issues? Are you okay with Roger Goodell, you know, being the person who levies the punishment, who also sees the appeal? Are you okay with this whole process?
I think what should happen, and my guess is that sometime in the next couple of months, Goodell is going to cede authority and is going to figure out some other way to handle discipline in the league. That's my feeling, because I think it's too much of a quagmire for him, too much of a quagmire that really prevents him from doing the things that really can grow the league, the more important things. As far as the punishment on Adrian Peterson, you know, I think the NFL in an ideal world really would like to have seen Adrian Peterson just miss the whole year because of his court case, because they knew whenever Peterson came back, they were going to have to deal with some form of discipline with him. And my belief is that because he had already missed 9 games on that commissioner's exempt list, that you can't just say, well, he got paid for him, so it's like an administrative leave. If a teacher is, you know, if a teacher has a challenge from somebody and is taken out of the classroom and the teacher is paid, well, that's fair. The difference, I think, in football and in sports is that most of these guys, anyway, are already independently wealthy. The most important thing to them, and I think to Adrian Peterson, I mean, I talked to him at training camp this year, Adrian Peterson wants to break Emmitt Smith's rushing record. Now, it's a long shot that he's going to do that, but he wants to break his rushing record, so he's basically going to have a season, even though through much fault of his own, he's going to have a season taken away from him in trying to do that. And so that's why, to me, I think had the league given him a game or two after his 9 games, a game or 2 unpaid suspension, that would have seemed fair to me. But the fact is that, I just think 6 games right now after he's missed 9 is too much.
Yeah, so basically, if since he's already done 9, maybe a big fine just to, even it out, level it off.
Well, you're limited on the amount of money you can fine a player by the collective bargaining agreement. But if you gave him, I'm trying to remember the figure, it's $691,000 per game. So if you sat him for 2 games, you'd basically be fining him $1.4 million. So that seemed to me fair, to make him sit 2 games, which, when you think about it, Adrian Peterson hasn't had pads on. As of this Sunday, he will not have had a shoulder pad on for 75 days. How could you expect him to come right in and play anyway? So, if you gave him 2 weeks, that he'd be able to get back and get into some limited form of football shape, then he could play the last 4 games of the year. But it doesn't look like that's going to happen.
Wow.
Peter, we've seen that the DEA has taken an interest, and we know what it's about. It's more than likely painkillers. That's conjecture on my part, but we know it's probably painkillers. Why do you see the sudden interest in the NFL by the DEA? What do you think that is?
I think they've had this interest for some time and just now have acted on it. Why it was last week, I don't know. But I do think that there's more and more scrutiny on the NFL because it has become such a gigantic part of our culture. More and more scrutiny on professional sports in general. You've seen the steroid investigation, first in, out on the West Coast, and now closer to home, closer to Miami with Tony Bosch. But I think you're just seeing an increase in attention and interest by the federal government in what has become a very, very lucrative business. And that's what I thought when I saw that on Sunday.
Yeah, it was strange to me as well. But let's turn gears. Let's wrap it all with this bow here, because we talked about a bunch of NFL topics. But let's talk a little bit before we get out of here about the future of the NFL. We all know with the new data and the information on concussions, long-term head injuries, the rule changes that are a result of the head injuries, the lawsuits, etc. How much longer do you think that this game could possibly last? Like, is there going to be an NFL 20 years down the road?
I think there will be. I think, it's a difficult question. If you were to ask me, is the NFL still going to be around in 50 years? That is a really good question. But if you say 20 years, I think it's going to take a longer period of time than that to prove that basically the game is so damaging that it shouldn't exist. I think of just 2 things about this. That the big discussion this week about whether there's been enough money set aside to pay for all of the long-term health and concussion settlements that they're going to have to make with former players. I think the one thing that people are not looking into with this is that, let's say you have an NFL player who played for 3 or 4 years and has some severe post-concussion trauma, after he retires. Well, the question becomes, should you blame the NFL for all of that? What contribution did his 4 years of college football and 4 years of high school football and majority 3 years of football before that? It's I guess probable or possible at least that the majority of damage was done by pro football. But I think, going back to your question, I think what has to happen particularly what has to happen with families in this country, is that they need to feel good about the safety of the equipment, about the fact that they can send their boys, and in some cases girls, out to play football and know that they're not going to come back, concussed, and they're not going to come back really hurt. That is the biggest issue as far as I'm concerned right now. You have to make sure that the farm system in football, that kids can play football and parents can send the kids to play football and still feel good about it. And I think that is the biggest challenge confronting the NFL right now. And that's something that I think the league really needs to redouble its efforts to make sure that they pay attention to in the next, couple of decades.
Yeah, I fully understand what you're saying because I love the game. I grew up playing the game, but I have a 3-year-old son right now, and I'm not too sure that I'm going to allow him to play football after everything I've learned.
Yeah, your talent.
I thought it was amazing, not amazing, but very interesting. At the MMQB this week, one of our reporters, Emily Kaplan, did a long Q&A with Steve Gleason. Obviously, your listeners know that Steve Gleason has ALS and is very seriously ill. And he had always shied away from the question of his son, Rivers, and whether Rivers would play football. And Rivers, I think, is about 3 years old now. And so Steve finally said that, he's going to encourage him not to, and until they can be assured head trauma is better policed, that, he doesn't want his son to play football. And so, I mean, you've got somebody like Steve Gleason who really has become a great ambassador to all aspects of football. And, he's worried about it too. So I just think that that's an issue, and the NFL knows it. That's an issue that the NFL needs to be extremely concerned with in the next couple of decades.
Yep, I'm definitely concerned. But Peter, thank you so much for your time. We appreciate it. Before we get you out of here, you can let our listeners know how they can find the MMQB. And
just go to the mmqb.com, and you can read me Monday, Tuesday, Friday, other days, and read Greg Bedard, Jenny Varentis, Robert Klemko, Emily Kaplan, and some of our other good columnists, trying to be a little bit writing about some of the more unusual things in the NFL and in pro football. So visit it early and often. We'd appreciate it.
All right. We will make sure that
it's a great read to our listeners.
Yes. All right. Well, Peter, again, thanks for your time. We really appreciate it. Great to talk with you again.
All right, man. Good luck to you.
Thank you. We'll have you back.
All right. That's Peter King, Sports Illustrated, Monday Morning Quarterback. Check out their website. That's mmqb.si.com. Like he mentioned, Robert Klemko is another guy who's been on our show a few times. Great writer. He's great when we have him on the show talking NFL stuff. So, let's get into some of this NFL stuff ourselves. I mean, we talk about some of the stuff that we just talked about with Peter King, but, we'll give a little more of our take on some of this stuff. So, that NFL talk, everybody, is brought to you by Stitcher Smart Radio. You can now hear our show, The War Room, on Stitcher Smart Radio. Stitcher allows you to listen to your favorite shows directly from your computer, your iPhone, your Android phone, your BlackBerry, or your Palm phones if you still have them, like Jimmy tells you to do every week when he reads his drop. If you still have a BlackBerry or Palm phone, report to your roof right now. You know what else to do. The latest episode is always available for you. No syncing needed, no memory or storage wasted. Downloading is simple. Click on the Stitcher logo on our website and then listen, or you can download it to your mobile phone directly from that page. But before you do, enter the promo code, The War Room, all one word, The War Room, for a chance to win a cash prize. Stitcher Smart Radio, the smarter way to listen to radio.
my Harlem. Oh, my fault. Wrong version.
It was taking too long to load. I couldn't stop it.
Oh yeah, bro. My fault. Wrong version.
Real quick, because we talked about beast mode a little bit earlier in the show, but beast mode and a couple of other players in the NFL, they were displaying some in-game conduct that was quote unquote detrimental to the team. Marshawn Lynch actually didn't go back into. He stayed on the sidelines for halftime. Now, a lot of people tried to make that because of the situation that's currently going on between himself and his coach, Pete Carroll. He later said it was just because his back injury was flaring up on him again, and he barely could walk, so he just stayed there because it was more comfortable for him. That's what he said. Who else was tripping? LeGarrette Blount, the Pittsburgh Steelers. He actually left the field early because he was getting no carries. Now, this is very selfish because his homie, who is his best friend on the team, Le'Veon Bell, was in the midst of a 200-yard game. So he's upset that he didn't get any carries, and he had only gotten 5 carries for 0 yards in the past 2 weeks. So they were starting to phase him out of the offense anyway. So he leaves the field early. He's cut the next day, and 2 days later, he actually re-signed with the New England Patriots on a 2-year deal for the league minimum, for the veterans minimum. Then you have San Francisco 49ers defensive lineman Ahmad Brooks. He removed himself from a game, but later on, he removed him. Remember, Aldon Smith came back, so he was kind of the odd man out. On the other side, you had the rookie Lynch, who still played about 70-plus snaps in this game. So Ahmad Brooks was the odd man out because Aldon Smith came back and took his playing time. So many believe that he took himself out of the lineup because he wasn't getting enough snaps. He later came out and said, and nobody from the San Francisco 49ers have disputed it, but he said that he didn't take himself out. He said he got into an argument with the defensive line coach, and he said some things that got him snatched out of the game by his coaches. So that's the story there. But fellas, what's up with the players and these seemingly selfish acts during games that I believe all 3 of these teams were? Did everybody? Yeah. Beast mode they lost, but at halftime they hadn't lost. Yeah. Seahawks lost, Pittsburgh won, and the Niners won. So what do you guys think about this?
Is fast becoming, to me, kind of the way I defend my man Allen Iverson Sr. Like beast mode is taking that place for me in football. He could do no wrong. So I'm gonna give him the benefit of the doubt, because I feel as though they are trying to push my man out because he brings too much 13th and Slauson, Compton swap meet to the Seattle Seahawks locker room, Dickie suits and Chuck Taylors, and they're just not ready for it. But he produces, and for the most part, he's never an off-the-field issue or problem. So, he gets the benefit, man. His back could have been hurting. He's having some problems with Pete Carroll. He's hitting that wall where, he's late 20s, about to be in his 30s. They don't want to pay him. They're trying to maybe go in a different direction. But, that's all I can say. LeGarrette Blount is a selfish a-hole. I think that, when I think of him, you really can't get much more selfish than that. We're all fierce competitors. You gentlemen included. So when we see an opportunity to get busy and we can't get busy, I'm sure there have been times in my life where I felt a certain type of way. But if we're winning and it's my homie doing well, I can't. You can't get upset about that. You gotta be positive for the sake of the team.
Yeah. Even if we're not winning, and even if it's not my home. Yeah, I think that's the situation, even though we're competitors. Even if that's my homie, and even if we aren't winning, I can't fathom taking myself out of a game, like leaving, like I'm out. Y'all tripping? I'm out. So yeah, he got some growing up to do. Jimmy, what are your thoughts?
Garrett, you are a piece of. You're a piece of. That's what you are.
Yo, it's the maturity. It's one of them things where I don't know. He probably doesn't regret it because he's been making like these kind of decisions for a long time. At this point, he already has a reputation for himself, so you gotta chill. It's just funny how this is going on all across the league, or maybe they're just being sensationalized now. Because yo, what's up with everybody becoming a diva? It used to be just the wide receivers. Now everybody's a diva in the league. Defensive players, like yo,
I blame social media
for diva behavior in NFL players.
Yeah, I blame social media
for everything in life.
You gotta understand. You gotta understand that NFL players suffer from what's called helmet syndrome. So they go extra hard. They go harder than basketball players because they want the notoriety for their sport. But because they're under a helmet, come on, you got to be real. Outside of us, don't nobody know what LeGarrette Blount really looks like. He's not really famous. So he's trying to get as much shine as he possibly can and as much dollars as he possibly can. We don't know what his contract looks like, but I'm pretty sure there were some incentives in there. He's seeing my man racking up yardage, and all he's seeing is dollar signs that he's missing out on. So, there's that to factor in as well. He's tremendously talented. So, as I understand it, the Patriots picked him right back up. He's one of the few guys, he's 250 pounds, but he's fast enough, deceptively fast enough, and swift of foot to actually return kicks. So, he's a tremendous athlete. He'll be all right. But it's corny. He should be ashamed.
It's one of those situations too where the Patriots like, well, we can make anybody behave because we have the Patriot way.
The Patriots is downright arrogant, yo. It's like they can like yo, they could have sent him all the like people from ISIS and they're just gonna like rehab them. They do it the Patriot way. Like they can reform anybody. Like come on, man.
Yo, but if you remember, he was already there. He was already there.
I know that. But still, man, like it's
they let him go for a reason, right? Yeah, they let him go for a reason. Now they need some backs.
But all I'm saying is, man, like, yo, they're very arrogant with that. They think they could bring in anybody. Like, we're just going to teach them the Patriot way, and that's just what it is. That's 4-H, man.
But do y'all notice how childish behavior is just being rewarded these days? First, my man steal underwear and cologne, and then, gets an underwear endorsement. Yo, this dude walks off the field, and then he gets picked up by a Super Bowl contender. Like... It's crazy.
Dignity and pride are on low supply.
All right, so that's those guys. But we talked a little bit with Peter King about the drama going on in Washington. We had a caller who called in about it. I want to know you guys' opinion on everything because the week started with RG3 basically throwing his team under the bus. In his press conference, he talked about what he did wrong, but he never ever, because they had this issue before where even his teammates came out and said he needs to have a little bit more eye in his vocabulary because he always comes out in his press conference and criticizes everyone. Like he believes if he doesn't play well, then nobody else is playing well, which is, kind of a silly thing to believe. So, he comes out, he starts the press conference off the way his teammates would like him to start it off, saying, I wasn't good. I played terribly. But then he just couldn't help himself. Like the urge was there. He started talking about everybody else. Well, the quarterbacks aren't playing well. The running backs aren't playing well. The line isn't playing well. The defense isn't playing well. Nobody likes to sit there and listen to them, listen to themselves getting called out. And it frankly just wasn't true, though. Everybody isn't playing terribly. I mean, Alfred Morris had a pretty good game. He had his high yardage game of the season this past game, but, he threw the running backs in there as well. One running back took a 2-yard pass that you gave him and took it to the house, breaking a few tackles. So, you're throwing them under the bus and they kind of bailed you out on a few plays. So that's how the week started with him doing that. Then you also had Deshaun Jackson. You had Deshaun Jackson on his Instagram page. He wrote a little subliminal comment. People not sure if it was towards Robert Griffin or if it was towards all of his teammates, where he said, you can't do epic-ish with basic people. And then you had the coach, Jay Gruden, come out and basically sling Robert Griffin III under the bus with harsh criticism, harsh critique. It was constructive criticism, but it may not have been media worthy. So what do you guys think about the drama that's going on in Washington? And do you think RG3 will be there, as their quarterback going forward?
I definitely think that he will be there next season. With what they gave away and understanding how Daniel Snyder is a very determined and headstrong individual, that's his guy that they went out and got. And they spent they mortgaged the franchise to get it. So I don't anticipate him going anywhere.
Wouldn't you continue to mortgage it if you hold on to a bad investment?
Yeah, but he's Daniel Snyder though, Dev, so he's going to continue. He's not going to write it off quite yet. The reality is with Bob Norbit, as we call him on the show, Bob Norbit, everybody is culpable in this who is a fan of his or a fan of the Washington professional sports team. War Room Sports, I hate to say that I told you so, but War Room Sports told you so in 2012, almost exactly what Bob Norbit was going to be, what RG3 was going to be. We saw his weaknesses. We explained it to everybody. And at that point in time, we were called haters. But now the chickens are coming home to roost, and they deified this guy. Like I've rarely seen idolatry and hero worship from all walks of life and all forms of grown adults the way that I saw people behave here in D.C. around Bob Norbit, a.k.a. RG3. Like, we created the monster was created. Yeah, they built him up too far and too high. And when you build someone up that high, that just makes the fall that much harder. And he's believing his own hype. But can you fault a 22, 23, 24-year-old kid with believing that type of hype? I mean, from his parents all the way out to the organization, all the way out to the fans, all the way out. And you can tell that his teammates don't really like it because he doesn't get helped up off the ground. Yeah, he doesn't get helped up off the ground when he gets deposited into the turf. They just walk around him, get your ass up, So I in a way, I feel sorry for the young man. He's helped create it, but so have the fan base here.
Yeah. Go ahead, Jim.
No, man. I mean, B. Austin pretty much covered it all. I mean, I never thought he was going to be that great. I mean, based upon what I saw, he had potential. Whether he still has that potential, I don't know. Because the thing about a quarterback is, when you get messed with mentally this early, it can just ruin your entire career. You know what I mean? See David Carr. There's so many quarterbacks you can name who just had Ryan Leaf, guys who had all the tools physically.
Shout out to Joey Harrington.
Joey Harrington. There's a number of guys who had the physical attributes down. They had potential, and some things just went wrong early on, and that was it. But even in his first year when he played well, he was throwing 2-yard passes, man. So I don't even buy the fact that people always point to that first year. I don't think he was even that great that year. When you break down the film of the first year. He was exciting, but he wasn't he didn't show what Andrew Luck showed, and
that's what fans fall for. They fall for the excitement, man.
Good and exciting are two different things because Michael Vick has been exciting his entire life, but good is not something that most of us.
And the fact of the matter is, man, and before y'all people out there listening start calling me Uncle Tom or something because I said he's not Andrew Luck, I mean, wake up. This has nothing to do with race. I mean, I'm not gonna fight for RG3 who stinks. I mean, Meanwhile, in 2014, the black man's the face of rape, beating your wife and your children, but y'all want to cry about RG3, but that's neither here nor there. Bottom line is, we'll see what happens, but I just don't know. Is he done in D.C.? I think so. I mean, some people, I saw in the different groups we were in, some people were saying that the coach has a shorter leash than RG3. I don't know if I agree with that.
Absolutely not.
I mean, because you think that Snyder would have learned his lesson. Even Peter King said the same thing. He's like, you would kind of think that this coach, they might be willing to stick it out because RG3 has already been a part of the demise of the previous administration. But that's pretty telling though. When the coach comes out and does that, maybe management, ownership, maybe they didn't know that was coming. But at the same time, if you're a coach and you have a franchise player that they gave up so much to get, and you feel comfortable with coming out and saying that, because he's gone back and apologized and said maybe I shouldn't have done that, but he knew exactly what he was doing when he was doing it. If he has the guts to do that, then maybe he does know that he may be a little bit more secure. I think RG3, he has 6 games left in his trial period because they have to make a decision of whether they're going to hold on to him or not. And like I said to Peter King earlier, for him, for the team, he has to either be terrible so they know that they're not going with him, or he has to be great so they know 100% that they're going with him. Because if he's just okay over the last 6 games, then they're still going to be in the same position. Like, we have no clue what to do with this guy. It's a messy situation in Washington, but what's new? What's new? You got everybody throwing everybody under the bus. Last thing before we get our games of the week and talk a little basketball before we go out, fellas. The Adrian Peterson thing has grown some more legs. Of course, his whole legal battle is over. I don't think the NFL expected it to be over this quickly. They ended up suspending him for the remaining games of the season. And, he still has to basically file for reinstatement when next season is, when the offseason is underway. Before the season starts, he has to file for reinstatement. Do you guys think that it's fair that he suspended 6 games after missing 9, even though he was paid?
Go ahead, Austin.
That's heavy, and as you heard, if you were tuned in earlier, listeners, Peter King kind of broke that down. That's over close to $620,000 per game, based on his salary. So if you're looking at him missing, 6 remaining games, you're essentially fining him somewhere in the neighborhood of $3.7 million for the remainder of the season. And I that's tough, man. They did him dirty, I believe.
For me, it's not the money, because he was basically on paid leave before. I just think,
right.
And again, like, this was something that we talked about, prior to our conversation with Peter King, but this does something, I'm not going to say it alters NFL history, but at the same time, he did have a goal of breaking that Emmitt Smith record, and now it's probably, out of reach because he just wasted a whole year. Now, myself, I'm not saying that, would he did a crime where, I don't know if I want to call it a crime. Like, he was in a situation that was kind of brought on himself, whatever you call it, a crime, or him just disciplining his kid, whatever you want to call it. The situation was kind of brought on, from him. And he did essentially do 8-9 weeks with pay. But I don't think the pay matters, especially in like sports, because people always want to compare it to, well, shoot, if you were a 9-to-5 worker and they gave you paid leave, you'd be happy. Yeah, that's because people don't like to do office jobs or 9-to-5 jobs. A lot of people who are doing 9-to-5 jobs aren't doing what they would have liked to have done in life. Football players want to play for the most part. You know what I'm saying? And especially somebody that's in his position to do things on a historical level, you want to play. So I think it's more important to him to have been out on the field rather than to lose money. So, if you can't find him to level it out, like Peter King said earlier, if you did just want to suspend him for a game or two afterwards, do that and then give him his shot at, amassing some type of yardage this year. I'm not crying for him in no way, no shape, or form, but at the same time, I think it's kind of crazy to make him sit for that many games and then make him ultimately sit out for the whole season. And it kind of seemed like they were being spiteful because they didn't take that meeting with them last week. They claim that's not the issue, but it seems like that could be the issue. So it's crazy. I mean, you have to do it's going to be some tough sledding for him to try to challenge that number. But Jim, did we have a call on the line that you wanted to?
Yo, absolutely. We got the homie. I believe it's the homie calling from Cali. Rob.
What's up, man?
What up, homie?
Chilling, man. Snacking on some yams, you know what I mean?
Yo!
Whoa!
Snacking on some
yams. I don't like yams. I like yams, but anyway.
You the man.
Oh, yeah.
Bro.
Anyways, shout out to UNC Chapel Hill, Tar Heels all day, baby. Man, is it me or this is the most black players I've seen from Duke in the last, all my life, dude. Like, you know what I'm saying? The last 2 years, they got a squad. We should fire Roy Williams. It's just we're not recruiting anybody anymore.
They want to win.
Yeah, their squad does have a lot of natural hair.
What you
okay.
Happy-headed holes? What are you talking about?
And about the RG3 thing, honestly, be also says how everybody's coming diva social media, but I think it's like the generation me. I think it's a sense of entitlement. We saw it with Tim Tebow.
Oh yeah.
You know, Tim Tebow, instead of just playing tight end, which I think he'll be a bomb tight end. If nobody can tax you as a quarterback, you're in the NFL. You know, imagine how he would play tight end, but he didn't want to do it because he said he was a quarterback. And with RG3, it's the same thing. It's like everybody is pump and prime you. You know, Jimmy said it best. One of y'all said it best. He can have any man, woman, and child in DC if he wanted to. No Amber Alert. You know, and he just doesn't want to be a team player. He just doesn't. And you see it with a lot of players and it gets worse in the quarterback position, but particularly African Americans, because everybody wants you to be a mobile, or want you to be a pocket quarterback, or they want you to do this, want you to do that. Randall Cunningham said it best. It's not about being a pocket quarterback or a mobile quarterback, a black quarterback, or white quarterback. It's being able to do everything. If you can do everything, do everything. You know what I'm saying? I'm sure Peyton Manning's ass would run if he could, man. Shoot.
Yeah. I mean, think about it. I mean, you know, we don't want to keep harping on the same name, but you got a cat like Andrew Luck who can basically do everything. He can play the Peyton role, and when he has to, he can play the RG3 role. He can get on his horse if he needs to get on his horse. So, you know, that's what it is. But
I mean, even like I know Jimmy knows. I mean, John Elway was running, wasn't he? You know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir. John
Elway, get on quarterback that play football.
Oh yeah, my boy Kobe, man. Yo, I wish we would have kept Chris Kevin Gasol because we would have had a better team and probably got the AC. And people stop talking about Kobe taking a lot of shots, man. Look at the squad we have. What do you expect?
We're about to get into that. So, hey Rob, thanks for your call, bro, and we'll wrap to you next week.
All right, peace, man.
Peace,
all right, thanks, Rob.
All right, yeah. So you know that's the whole situation. Let's get into our games of the week real quick before we move on to talk a little bit of basketball. I just want to get you brothers' picks on a few games. It's not really an exciting week in the NFL. I mean, that doesn't mean the games won't be exciting, but it's not a lot of intriguing matchups. So I'll start you guys off with the Lions at the Patriots. Jimmy, who you got?
I'm taking the Patriots in that game. Going with the home team. The Lions look to be a serious team. You called it before the season started, although you said they win the division. We don't know that yet because the Packers are also tough, who I picked to go to the bowl. So we'll see what happens, though. But the Lions do look for real. But I'm taking the Patriots, the home team.
All right, I'm gonna take the Patriots on this one as well. B. Austin, who you got?
Yeah, I'm taking the Patriots.
All right, and then we got the Cardinals. This is an intriguing matchup. The Cardinals, in their second game, well, not second of the season, but the second going forward without Carson Palmer. Cardinals going to face Seattle. With the 12th man. Who you got, B. Austin?
Ooh, Seahawks. Give me the Seahawks.
I'm gonna go Seahawks as well, man. I'm pig-headed with this, man. These dudes are 9-1, and I still don't believe in them for some reason.
Because they're the Cardinals.
So I'm gonna take the Seahawks on this one. Jim, who you got?
I'm taking the Seahawks as well because they're the home team, the 12th man. They're like a different team on the road versus playing at home. I'm taking the Seahawks.
All right, and our last one, Jimmy's Broncos will be hosting the Miami Dolphins. Who you got in that one?
Home team again, Broncos.
Home team for me as well. I think the Broncos are going to be a little revved up from the beating that they took at the hands of the Rams last week. I'm not sure if they're going to be with all their players, though. Emmanuel Sanders, I don't think his soul flew all the way back into his body yet, so they're still waiting on him to pass the concussion protocol. And then you got the ankle with Julius Jones. B. Austin, who you got in this one?
Hey, man, give me the bang, bang, anywhere gang, Smith Miller gang, Broncos.
All right, and this is a game. It's not on our games of the week to pick. I just wanted to let everybody know because of the 6 feet of snow in Buffalo, that game, the NFL still plans to have the game played, but it won't be played in Buffalo. They're looking at alternate destinations. Detroit's one of them. Pittsburgh is one of them, and Washington, D.C. is another option. So I'm not sure if they've announced that yet, but they need to hurry up and let these teams know where they're going to be playing this weekend.
Yo, Mother Nature, free Buffalo.
Yo, Mother Nature did the thing to Buffalo. But, Jim, let's get into some b-ball talk. And, once we get into that, I see we got a few more calls on the line. We'll take that once we get in, because we got to get some stuff off our chest.
Tobias, hold on, good brother. Let's jump into NBA real quick. We're going to bring you on. But the NBA is brought to you by Fanatics. For the best in your favorite team's merchandise and apparel, shop Fanatics. Shopping Fanatics is easy. Go to our website, which is warroomsports.com, and click on that Fanatics logo. You can get some NFL, NBA, NHL gear, NCAA gear, right on warroomsports.com. Let's talk basketball, gentlemen.
Yeah, man, Curtis couldn't wait.
Basketball is my favorite sport. My fault. Anyway, this week, the players of the week this week were LeBron, Raymond James, and Damian Robert Lillard. I don't know if that's his middle name. It just sounded like it fit. But, Dev, what is that?
All right, LeBron and the Cavs went 3-0 last week with wins over the Pelicans, the Hawks, and somebody else. He averaged 35 points a game, 7.7 assists, 59% shooting from the field, and he played 36.7 minutes per game, and also had 7 rebounds per game. He wants those minutes to come down too, but we'll talk about that in a minute. Dame Lillard led the Blazers to a 3-0 week. He averaged 28 points a game, 8.7 assists, and he was 5th in the conference in 3-point shooting at 70%. He was only 5th in the conference at 70%. People were lighting it up last week in the Western Conference from the 3-point line. So that's Dame Lillard and LeBron James. Those are your NBA players of the week for last week.
Crazy. Yo, it's crazy. Them numbers are crazy. Like, nobody's playing defense in the league right now.
Defense overrated.
Speaking of like gunning, before we even get into the Kobe talk, let's bring the homie on the line real quick. Chicago Bulls fan. Also, we roll tide. Let's Tobias.
Roll down tide, gentlemen. Roll down tide. Number one with a bullet.
Number one tide. What's up, Tobias? Hey. We got to keep it quick because we got like 10 minutes and we got to talk some.
All right, I'll make this quick. You 2 quick points. First, I'm still not getting too giddy about Alabama because could easily lose to Auburn next week. But I was happy what they're doing because Nick Saban is coaching his butt off this year. He ain't kissing. Because let's be honest, that quarterback won't even make the practice squad, and the offensive line has been kind of trash. I'm just being honest as a fan, so that kind of acknowledges how those two are coaching. But let's get on my Chicago Bulls real quick. I'm pleasantly surprised by one thing. The Bulls can actually score over 80 points without breaking a sweat. I'm happy. The offense is moving good, and it looks like Jimmy Butler is actually going to get paid this year because he's been balling. And I'll, shut up. Oh, yeah, I'll say this real quick. Remember I told y'all before the season, Kevin Love's going to turn to Kevin Bosch. And look what happened. He's standing out there in the corner shooting threes. Hey, he's actually been complaining that he wants more touches. He's a free agent. Just letting you guys know. And I'll shut up.
All right, good brother.
Yo, by the way, Tobias, you can tell you're spoiled as a college football fan. You're disrespecting your team as if they're not number one. He called the offensive line trash, the quarterback trash, and this is the best team in the country, supposedly.
Hey, but you know what? But you know what, though? I'll say this, though. The defense has improved big time. People keep saying they can't stop these hurry-up teams. Texas A&M got shut out. Yeah, Mississippi State got 400 yards, but they ran like 80-something plays. And defense has gotten better this year. But I'm not saying, but this is not one of these dominant Alabama teams, and they're being judged by past Alabama teams. So I'm not going to say the 2012 team.
I got you. I understand what you're saying. Basically, you're suffering from your success, man. But thanks for the call, man. Tune in on call.
Appreciate it.
Next a little earlier, man. We appreciate it. Thanks.
All right, no problem, man.
All right.
That's when you suffer from your success, Dad, when you get compared against yourself. Like, yo, it ain't about what we doing right now. It's about them old Alabama teams.
Exactly.
It ain't about what we're doing right now. It's about them old War Room Sports shows.
All right. Jimmy about to do it because we're about to talk about the Lakers.
I'm about to throw it, too. Kobe Bean Bryant passes 32,000 point plateau. He is out there. He like, look, we ain't winning no championships, so I'm coming for Kareem's spot. He going out guns a-blazing. I know B. Austin's answer because this is what he watches for, not me personally. But Dev, what's your opinion of Kobe that's out there just hoisting it up?
Well, for me, congrats on the 32,000 points. He's only 100 or so, 200 or so behind Michael Jordan, and I know that's a big deal for him, even if he doesn't admit it. But Kobe hoisting, like at first, I shared B. Austin's sentiment. I mean, and to a certain extent, I still do. I mean, you got to look at the roster, who else is going to shoot. But at the same time, it's different when you just talk about it than when you actually watch it. And sometimes it's just ridiculous. And Kobe's always been a tough shot taker, but sometimes it's just ridiculous. Like, come on, Kobe, like you didn't have to shoot that. And earlier in the week, Boozer and Jeremy Lin were being interviewed after a game, and they were talking about it. And, they were not trying to be just outright negative or whatever, but you can hear with what they were saying that, they were saying that Kobe needs to trust the team a little more. One guy can't do it by himself. Kobe's whole thing is, well, if I see a crime happening in front of me, what I'm going to just let the dude run 10 blocks before I call the authority, or I'm going to try to keep him in sight myself. But in most of these games, even Kobe's scoring is not really keeping anybody in sight. And I'm not one of those people that's complaining about his field goal percentage. Kobe's on a team that's not contending for anything. He's 36. He's on his way out. You're not sure about his knees and feet and all that kind of stuff, so he could go at any day now. So if this is not stat padding time, then when is? But at the same time, if you're playing on a team like this, and I've been on teams with people like this, I can understand how his teammates may feel. I think I may even been that guy at one point on a few teams, for no reason. So you can kind of understand how people are probably feeling when he's just hoisting away and y'all losing anyway. So try to get those guys some kind of.
It's like if it's in the flow of the game, it's cool, but some stuff's not in the flow of the game. He's like totally forcing shots, and it's like, yo, to me, it's hilarious. And I am a Lakers fan, but I
top of the key, and it'll be nothing. And instead of passing it, he'll just pump fake and then pull a fade away from the top of the key. Not even in rhythm.
My man will get caught in the trap, pump fake 3 times, try to jump through the trap. He's drawn right now, but for me, it's comical. I still blame Jim Buss because this is all your fault. Because at the end of the day, this team is terrible. This might be the worst Lakers team I've ever seen in my life. This is worse than Bush. So. This team
some of y'all are lying. I'm not necessarily speaking to my brothers on the air right now, but some of y'all are lying. I have never played basketball on a professional level, but I consider myself a pretty good playground athlete. I'm not passing the ball to Jordan Hill. I'm not really passing the ball to Jeremy Lin. I don't know who Brandon Davies is, and the rest of them stiffs can eat a soggy cracker. Yo, I watched the game the other night. They were playing the Rockets, and Joe Budden, not Joe Budden, I'm sorry. See, y'all got me calling the bull Carlos Boozer, Joe Budden. Joe Budden, they were switching, and they were sending him into the post. Carlos Boozer is 6'9" and 270 pounds. Why in life would you shoot a fadeaway on James Harden? And that has to go through Kobe's mind. If I'm Kobe Bryant, I'm not passing the ball to him for him to shoot a fadeaway on a guard. I'm shooting the ball. I
don't disagree with you, but it's an 82-game season and 48-minute games. Like, he can't shoot every shot, and he's really trying to.
My man's arms are going to fall off, yo.
Is Swaggy P. Swaggy P came back, and he was giving him the rock, but he doesn't trust anybody else on the team.
Yo, my thing with Swaggy is, Swaggy, you can't get the ball either because you don't do anything but shoot. And I know that people are going to say, that's Kobe, but Kobe is a Hall of Famer, and Swaggy necessarily belong near the Hall. So,
Kobe and Swaggy P are out there playing Call of Duty. Everybody else is playing 2K.
True.
It's like they just out there just shooting. It's embarrassing to watch, man. But I got a question for you guys before we go. LeBron Ramon James wants his minutes decreased. What do you think about LeBron, wanting to play less minutes?
Just so people don't get it twisted, I think he's the best player in the league. He's the best player in the world. But he's very soft. He's soft, and he's a victim of this generation. The heroes that I grew up watching NBA basketball, if they felt that way, they would never admit that in public. That would never be said. I want more shots. I want more points. Not I want less minutes. Go ahead, Desmond. Talk to these people, man. I want less minutes.
Let me give you some of his quotes real quick. I know we don't have that much time left, but he was saying, I think we got to give our guys on the bench more of an opportunity. I looked at a stat, and myself, Kyrie, and Kevin are three of the top 5 guys in the league in minutes per game, and that has to come down. For me, I don't want to do that all year. Obviously, right now it's difficult because we're trying to find a groove. We're trying to find a rhythm, trying to implement something that you don't want to shortcut it, but at the same time, you want to be smart about it. So I don't mind giving a few of my minutes up to help the team, to help my teammates go down. I think it would be for the best. It's one of those things like LeBron kind of makes the situations and then he kind of complains about it. Like even in Miami when he was complaining about minutes and practice, you guys formed the big three to where 3 of the people were taking most of the salary and the team around you wasn't super talented. You might have a little bit more talent on the bench in Cleveland, but at the same time, you created this situation. You had them go out and get Kevin Love. You knew Kyrie was already there, and he just re-upped on his contract. You know what you make. So, you can't really complain about sacrificing minutes for people that aren't going to win you games. You're the big 3 for a reason, and the 3 of you need to be out on the court for this team to be successful. But this isn't the only thing with LeBron. He's basically taken over as coach of this team. Like I read that Yahoo article, I think it was about Wojnarowski earlier, and it's getting to the point where they're saying that some of the Cleveland Cavalier players, it's feeling kind of awkward because LeBron runs everything. And I think he might just need to step back a little bit. We know you're the best player in the league. We know the kind of power that you wield, but chill out. That's all I got to say. Chill out.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's pretty much what you said. There's nothing else I can say other than the fact that this is the mess you created, man. This is what you asked for. Now that you got what you asked for, it is what it is, man.
I'm tired. I'm playing too many minutes. I'm sweating too profusely. I need electrolytes. My hairline is...
We put in a lot of minutes this season. It's time for us to get out of here, man. We got to reduce our minutes. So thanks for everybody for joining us in the War Room, good people. Shout out to everybody in the chat room, those on Facebook, Twitter, all the calls who chimed in. We appreciate those we didn't get to. We apologize. Special thanks to Peter King of MMQB and SI.com for, coming and chat with us about some football. Tune in next week, same time, same place, live right here or on demand on the WRSPN.com, the War Room Sports Podcast Network. It's our 4th annual Thanksgiving Day special. We take no days off. We'll recap the NFL Week 12 and discuss the 3 games on the docket for Turkey Day. we may have Michael Smith and Jamel Hill of ESPN His and Hers podcast stop by as well. So until then, enjoy your week. We'll see you right back here for Thanksgiving dinner. Be sure to catch our conversations on Facebook and Twitter or videos on WarRoomSportsTV.com and all of our network shows, WRSPN.com. Until next time, everybody, don't accept mediocrity. Be steadfast in the war against ignorance. We'll see you chumps on top.
6 to 8, they do this. Shout out to Dev, PJ, B. Austin, Doc Bay on replay. WarRoomSports.com. Get that mobile app. If not, dial 323-1400-12. They be going and you sensitive, then oh well. Physical podcast, let's talk sports. Showtime like magic in the block push. Listen live, push one to join in. Rip your team or listen for your enjoyment. Hip hop dollars, pit stop and knowledge. Should be in sports credits, I ain't talking college. 5 guys, no beef though. Corporate secret, but the streets know. Belafonte, I got a G flow. KC royalty, I'm in beast mode. 2 hours, get your game up. Who's the best in sportscast? You better name us. War Room Sports. Yeah, you know, Jimmy, Dev, PJ, Doc Beck, B. Austin. I'm Jock. Up and coming on the beat.
War Room Sports, www.warroomsports.com. What? Ain't no more to it.